Deep underground, 4 young adventurers entered the mysterious McFail's cave, excited to discover its hidden secrets. But as the weather changed and the dark, cold cave closed in around them, their exciting journey quickly turned into a terrifying fight for survival. The louder waterfall blocked their way out. They found themselves trapped. What had gone wrong in the depths of the cave? A race against time starts. Did the help reach in time, or would the cave claim them? The answers lay in the darkness, waiting to be revealed. Let's explore the mysterious depths of McFail's cave in New York, the longest known cave in the northeast United States, with over 6.5 miles of mapped passages. This incredible cave is named after Thomas Alfred McFail, a professor at the Old Carlisle Seminary, who tragically lost his life there in 1853. His story adds an air of mystery and intrigue to the cave, as it is said that he met his untimely death at the entrance of the cavern. According to historical accounts, Professor McFail fainted upon coming into contact with the outer air and fell backward, sustaining a fatal head injury. His death halted further exploration of the cave for many years. McFail's Cave is part of the McFail's Cave Nature Preserve, which consists of 2 parcels of land, the McFail's Hole parcel and the Hall's Hole parcel. The McFail's Hole parcel includes McFail's Hole, Axe Shack, and the Honors Cave Disappointment System. Meanwhile, the Hall's Hole parcel contains Hall's Hole and the Coeman's Dome Sink. Although these parcels are landlocked, the National Speleological Society, NSS, has secured easements for parking and access, allowing for recreational exploration, scientific study, and further exploration of this unique natural wonder. However, it's important to note that McFail's Cave is closed from October to May to protect the bats that hibernate there. In the early 1900s, John H. Cook attempted to explore the cave further, but he could not enter McFail's Hole. It wasn't until the late 1920s and 1930s that Arthur Van Voris and his team successfully entered the cave again, marking the first exploration since McFail's death. They explored the cave extensively, culminating in Norm Olson's map published in the NSS News in January 1961. 1961 proved to be a monumental year for McFail's Cave. Explorers Hugh Blanchard, Marlin Kreider, and Art Palmer pushed upstream through 1,800 feet of joint-controlled passages filled with swimming-depth water and towering domes, ending in a sump plumbed to a depth of 31 feet. The most significant discovery came when Fred Stone, Spencer Wert, and Ken Miller bypassed Olson's siphon, the then downstream end of the cave, unveiling what is now the main part of the cave. Fred was later joined by Ben Stone, Tom Hallinan, Elian Benjamin, Frank Howarth, Nan Coles, and Bill Bousman. Together, they explored down to the terminal siphon, up the southeast passage, and all the way up the northwest passage to Nethaway's Dome. Suddenly, McFail's Cave became the longest cave in the northeast, measuring about 5 miles in length. Later that year, the original McFail's Hole entrance began to show signs of collapse, showing the need for an alternative entrance. Attempts to find a new route from Cave Disappointment were, unfortunately, disappointing. However, a crawl connecting the base of Axe Shack, named after Ernest Ackerley, and the stream passage was eventually dug by Fred Stone, Frank Howarth, Chuck Porter, Art Palmer, and Stan Moore. The original McFail's Hole entrance did eventually collapse, with Art Palmer possibly being the last person to use it as it collapsed while he was climbing out. This left Axe Shack as the only way into the cave, despite its challenging narrow traverse, waterfall, and tight, long crawl. Despite these obstacles, McFail's Cave remains one of the most fascinating caves of its kind. Fred Stone and other members of the Cornell Grotto purchased the cave entrance, along with an oddly shaped acre of land containing several pits and cave rights beneath the land over the cave. This was then presented to the NSS Board of Governors, and suddenly the NSS found themselves with a cave to explore and protect. In the chilly morning of March 16, 1968, 4 young adventurers, Gerald Alderman, 20, Ronald Soren, 23, Andrew Smith, 19, and Michael Geilman, 20 years old, embarked on an exploration mission to the McFail's Cave in New York. These college students, driven by a craving for adventure and the thrill of the unknown, had heard about the mysterious and perilous caves in the area and decided to explore the famous Axe Shack entrance of McFail's Cave. The caves called to them like sirens to sailors, whispering promises of hidden wonders and secrets buried beneath the earth. McFail's Cave, a natural wonder with its complex network of passages and treacherous terrain, is notorious among cave explorers for its dangers. The Axe Shack entrance to McFail's Cave is a formidable challenge, consisting of a sinkhole with a man-sized opening leading into a pit 45 feet deep. At the bottom of this pit, a narrow fissure opens into a second pit, 40 feet deep but only 2 feet wide, narrowing to 1 foot or less at each end. In wet weather, a stream enters the pit as a waterfall, cascading through a crawlway at the base of the second drop. This creates a treacherous combination of slick rocks and chilling waters, turning the cave into a daunting gauntlet. On this day, the weather was unpredictable. There was still a lot of snow and ice on the ground, but the temperature was just above freezing during the day. The 4 young adventurers knew the risks, but were determined to explore the cave. They were excited and full of energy as they started their descent into the dark cave around 10 a.m., unaware of the dangers that lay ahead. The group did not go far into the cave, but as they headed back to the entrance around 1:30 p.m., they noticed that the waterfall in the upper pit had gotten much stronger. The wet, cold, and narrow lower pit became a serious challenge, and they found themselves in a dangerous situation. Soren managed to reach the surface and quickly went to a nearby farm for help, knowing that every minute counted. By 3:30 p.m., the Carlisle Fire Department was alerted and arrived at the scene, assisted by firemen from Cobleskill and Central Bridge, as well as state police from Duanesburg. The urgency of the situation needed to take a quick action, and a fireman was lowered into the upper pit. Earlier, the firemen had managed to rescue Smith and Gileman. Soren had bravely gone down once again to try and tie a rope to Alderman, ensuring the others could be pulled to safety first. Once the 3 explorers were out, they were immediately taken to the hospital to recover from their ordeal. As Smith, Gileman, and Soren were taken to Cobleskill Community Hospital and admitted in satisfactory condition, the firemen faced the difficult task of rescuing Alderman. They pulled on the rope, hoping it was still attached to him, until it became tight. They then tied the rope to a tree to secure it. However, when a fireman tried to squeeze into the lower pit to reach Alderman, he found the passage too narrow. He could see Alderman hanging below on the rope, with his hard hat tipped forward and water dripping onto his face. Alderman's responses were growing weaker as he got colder, and hypothermia set in. His cries for help echoed in the cold, dark chamber. The time was about 4 p.m., and the situation was growing more desperate by the minute. Exhausted and unable to reach Alderman, the fireman was hauled out of the pit, and the search began for a smaller person who could navigate the narrow passage. Despite attempts to reduce the flow of water in the upper pit by piling logs, shoveling snow, and even some bulldozing, but all efforts were useless. Nothing was working. At around 5 p.m., a local teenager, Teddy Langenbahn, 17 years old, volunteered to help. He got ready, wear a wetsuit, and lowered into the cave. The cold water and narrow passage quickly became overwhelming, and Langenbahn was forced to stop and come out. After warming himself near a fire on the surface, he bravely agreed to try again. This time, he reached the bottom of the first pit and attempted to pull the rope away from the crack, but Alderman was still trapped in the narrowest part of the fissure. In a courageous effort to save Alderman, Steve Kuhn, 16, another local teenager, volunteered to be lowered into the cave. Dressed in a wetsuit, Kuhn was quickly lowered below Alderman. He found Alderman, who was now white and stiff, and managed to push his body out of the crack, guiding it to the surface as he was pulled up himself. The time was 6:10 p.m. when Alderman was finally brought to the surface. Tragically, a doctor on the scene estimated that Alderman had died from exposure 1 to 2 hours earlier. The chilling realization that the rescue had come too late left everyone in a state of shock. Inexperience played a significant role in the tragedy. None of the 4 explorers had any known association with experienced cavers or cave groups, which could have provided them with the knowledge and basic skills to handle such a dangerous descent and ascent, especially under winter conditions. Experienced cavers are keenly aware of the extreme dangers of exposure and hypothermia, having been reminded of these threats by previous accidents. In a situation like this, they would have acted specifically to counter these dangers. One confusing and sad aspect of this incident was why the Northeastern Regional Cave Rescue Organization, which is listed with the state police, was not contacted sooner. Although the state police eventually reached out to some experienced cavers, it was too late to make a difference. This oversight highlighted the importance of having knowledgeable experts involved in cave rescues from the very beginning. For these young explorers, the hunger of adventure and the craving to uncover the secrets of the earth drove them into the depths of McFail's cave. They were students, eager to challenge themselves and push their limits. Yet, this tragic incident serves as a somber reminder of the unpredictable and unforgiving nature of caving. The thrill of exploration can quickly turn into a fight for survival, where every decision and every moment counts. As we remember Gerald Alderman and his companions' courage and determination, let us also take a moment to reflect on the lessons learned from this harrowing experience. Preparation, knowledge, and respect for the power of nature are crucial when venturing into the unknown. McFail's cave, with its dark beauty and treacherous paths, remains a testament to the awe-inspiring and sometimes deadly mysteries that lie beneath the surface of our world. Deep within the mountains of North Georgia lies a dangerous cave that only the bravest dare to enter. For a group of young, excited cavers, what started as an adventure quickly turned into a terrifying ordeal. As they descended into the darkness, something went horribly wrong, leaving one of them trapped in a deadly situation. What happened next is a story of bravery, quick thinking, and the unpredictable dangers that lurk in the depths of Ellison's cave. The mountains of North Georgia are one of the most beloved landscapes in the American South. However, hidden beneath this rugged terrain is a lesser-known natural wonder caves. Georgia has more than 500 caves, most of which are located in its northern mountainous region. Among these, Ellison's cave stands out as the deepest and most intimidating of them all. Located on Pigeon Mountain, in the remote Crockford Pigeon Mountain Wildlife Management Area, Ellison's cave is a true challenge for even the most experienced cavers. To reach Ellison's cave, you must journey deep into rural territory, with dirt roads winding through Georgia pines and thick shrubbery. After a considerable hike, you arrive at the cave's entrance, more than 2,600 feet above sea level. This cave is not just any cave, it's one of the largest in the United States, stretching nearly 12 miles long and plunging over 1,063 feet deep. Ellison's cave is famous for containing the two deepest cave drops in the country, aptly named Fantastic and Incredible. These vertical shafts descend 586 feet and 440 feet, respectively, making them a magnet for thrill seekers. The most daunting of these is Fantastic, the deepest cave drop in the continental U.S. Imagine a tunnel so deep that if the Seattle Space Needle were placed at the bottom, only a few feet of its antenna would stick out above ground. Formed by the slow dissolution of limestone bedrock by acidic groundwater, Ellison's cave dates back to the Paleozoic age. In 1968, explorers discovered a unique geological feature inside the cave, a semi-active fault running along the cave floor. This fault, a lateral one that moves horizontally, has left behind grooves on the cave walls and piles of debris from the grinding of fault planes. Although the fault is still active, its movements have been too small to threaten the cave's structure. Ellison's cave, with its impressive drops and unique geological features, is a popular destination for hikers and cavers alike. However, as thrilling as it is, the cave is also dangerous. The excitement of cave exploration is powerful, drawing adventurous souls into the unknown depths beneath the earth. For a group of young cavers from the Florida State Cave Club, this pull was irresistible. These were not just any thrill seekers. They were passionate explorers who had joined the National Speleological Society, NSS, chapter to dive into the mysteries of caves. The group, made up of 8 friends, was driven by an unquenchable thirst for adventure and discovery. Each member had heard tales of the wonders and challenges of caving, and they were eager to experience it all for themselves. In August 1969, this group of enthusiastic cavers set their sights on Ellison's cave, one of the most famous and challenging caves in the United States. Ellison's cave is known for its deep pits and treacherous passages. For these young explorers, the cave represented the ultimate test of their skills and courage. Among the group were 2 particularly eager adventurers, Janice Thompson, just 19 years old, and her close friend Susan Scott, also 19. Both had been captivated by the idea of caving since they first joined the club. They had spent hours discussing the challenges they might face and how they would tackle them. For them, Ellison's cave was not just a destination, it was a dream come true. On the day of the expedition, the group was buzzing with excitement as they made their way to the cave. After reaching the entrance, they prepared their gear and descended into the 125-foot warm-up pit, a deep vertical shaft that would serve as the starting point for their exploration. The descent was thrilling as they carefully made their way down into the darkness, their carbide lamps flickering in the shadows. Once at the bottom, the group began to explore the cave's intricate passages, marveling at the beauty and mystery of the underground world. But as they explored, they knew the real challenge lay ahead, the ascent back to the surface. Janice was the second to begin the climb back up the warm-up pit. She had been looking forward to this moment, excited to prove her abilities in the difficult conditions of the cave. However, as she began her ascent, she quickly ran into trouble. Her chest harness, an essential piece of gear for climbing, wasn't working correctly. Frustrated and unsure of what to do, she decided to descend back down to the bottom of the pit to reassess. As Janice tried to fix her harness, another member of the group successfully ascended the pit. Watching her friend reach the top gave Janice a renewed determination. She knew she had to try again. However, her situation was complicated by the fact that her carbide lamp was running low, and she didn't have an electric backup. Undeterred, she decided to climb in near darkness, relying on her determination and experience. But halfway up the pit, disaster struck. The Prusik knots she was using to climb began to slip, a potentially deadly situation in such a vertical environment. Without secure knots, Janice risked falling back down the pit with little chance of survival. Desperate to fix the problem, she fumbled in the dark to replace one of the faulty knots with a spare she had in her pack. Meanwhile, Susan, still waiting at the bottom, realized that her friend was in serious trouble. She quickly tied additional knots and sent them up to Janice in a frantic attempt to help. Janice managed to re-rig the knots, but a new problem arose. She couldn't remove the ineffective chest knot because she couldn't shift her weight entirely onto the new knot. She was stuck halfway up a deep pit, in the dark, with no way to move up or down. The situation was becoming more dangerous by the minute. Seeing her friend's distress, Susan made a brave decision. She started climbing up the pit on a second rope that had been hung earlier. As she climbed, she was aware of the immense risk she was taking, but her only thought was to reach Janice and help her. When Susan finally reached her level, she realized that the only way to free Janice was to cut the faulty Prusik sling. With her heart pounding, Susan carefully used the flame of her carbide lamp to burn through the knot that was trapping her friend. The flame flickered dangerously close to Janice's skin, and both girls knew that one wrong move could lead to disaster. But Susan's hands were steady, and after what felt like an eternity, the knot finally gave way. Janice was free, and the two friends continued their ascent together. They reached the top of the pit without further incident, exhausted but relieved. The ordeal in Ellison's cave left a lasting impression on the group. What started as an exciting adventure had quickly turned into a life-threatening situation. For Janice and Susan, the experience was a stark reminder of the dangers of cave exploration. The cave, with all its beauty and mystery, also held deadly risks that could turn an adventure into a nightmare in an instant. Despite the close call, the group's passion for caving remained. They understood that the challenges they faced were part of what made cave exploration so exhilarating. But they also knew that they had to respect the power of the cave and always be prepared for the unexpected. The story of Janice and Susan's harrowing experience in Ellison's cave would be shared among cavers for years to come, serving as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the courage and determination of those who dare to explore the world beneath our feet. In reflecting on the incident, Janice Thompson shared that her difficulties on the rope were mainly due to her lack of experience with vertical caving and her failure to properly test her equipment before the trip. Although she had done some rope work in the past, it was her first time using her own gear, and she hadn't practiced enough with it. This was also her first time descending a pit in a cave, which added to the challenges she faced. Janice made it clear that the other members of the group were experienced in vertical caving and that her troubles were a result of her own inexperience. Following the incident, Janice and her grotto took important steps to ensure safety in future trips. They started offering vertical caving instruction for new members, including supervised practice on ropes, safety-focused lectures, and thorough equipment checks before entering any cave. This experience taught them the importance of preparation and safety in caving. Thank you for watching this intense cave exploration story. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more thrilling adventures. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Stay safe, and until next time, keep exploring.